A welcome like that's almost enough to want to make me run for office again.
Good God.
But I'm not going to do it. As I look to the future now, I think the developments that we've seen over the last several months are enormously encouraging. I think when we can achieve the kind of results that we've achieved in places like Virginia and New Jersey and Massachusetts, the sky's the limit here. I think 2010 is going to be a phenomenal year for the conservative cause. And I think Barack Obama is a one-term president.
Let me introduce my good friend Grover Norquist. You know Grover, President of Americans for Tax Reform. He's most famous for having people sign the tax pledge. And you know, there's a really good indication whether someone's a conservative or not. If they don't sign Grover's pledge, a little bit of a red flag. No, a real big red flag should wave. And let me just say, I'm really happy to see Grover today. He was getting a little testy in the past couple of weeks, and I was just really, really glad that it was not him identified as flying that airplane into the IRS building. Grover Norquist.
It could have been scores dead. And then we have Jason Matera, the Young America Foundation, a leader who borrows a page from Ann Coulter's poison pen and calls liberal women ugly and accuses Obama of being a cokehead. And then he went on to make fun of the feminist new black man, a crossover between RuPaul and Barney Frank. This is the face of the young GOP.
Well, it's always a delight to participate in CPAC. This is like our Woodstock.
Yeah, it is.
Except, unlike the left's gathering, our women are beautiful. We speak in complete sentences. And our notion of freedom doesn't consist of snorting cocaine. Which is certainly one thing that separates us from Barack Obama. Actually, on the cocaine front, I do believe many young people in America viewed Barack in the same fashion as they do drugs.
Oh, yeah?
It was a substance to experiment with.
Yeah, he's a Negro!
Heck, even the slutty Obama girl said her crush has faded. So the opening is certainly there for us, but it will be a challenge. Their version of diversity is bizarre. For instance, at the University of Michigan, students can take a class on Native American feminism. And maybe my all-time favorite, the class at Occidental College, which deconstructs what it means to be a feminist new black man. Now, if you're wondering, what just exactly is a feminist new black man? Think of a crossover between RuPaul and Barney Frank.
CPAC convention, Steve King of Iowa presented the audience with a list of enemies they should beware of. These are crazy people, all of them.
Know thine enemy. Now, who are we up against? And I want to define that enemy. They are liberals, they are progressives, they are Che Guevarians, they are Castroites, they're socialists, more enemies on this list, Gramsciites, ring anybody's bell? Trotskyites, Maoists, Stalinists, Leninists, Marxists. They're all our enemies.
Yeah.
Who'd I leave out? I think I heard that. And by the way, I don't want to meet with the President of the United States to see what other kind of toxic stew he's going to serve up to us. And it is a toxic stew. I mean, they started out with they were going to cook up this health care for America, so what do? They get a big pot out and they decide, how do you start with cooking up this stew? So they reached into that 15-year-old shelf and they pulled Hillary Care off of it, that big old tainted soup bone. They dropped it down in that pot and started to cook up this single-payer socialized medicine.
Jesus.
Then they found out that the flavor was tainted, so they threw a few more things in, thinking they could convince us we ought to eat that. And after all of these months of debate and negotiations, it comes down to this. If you start out with tainted stew, there is no part of it that Americans want. We don't want a pot full. We don't want a bowl full. We don't want a spoonful, a cup full, or any kind of measure of toxic stew called socialized medicine. We want it dead.
What? Do you get that? Do you understand what this insane person was talking about? These people are not human. Do you hear anything that's positive for America? Do you hear a plan? Do you hear a solution? Do you hear even a direction, except right into some sewer someplace where people are chewing on each other's legs? Do you hear anything here that's rational? Anything that's reasonable, just, ethical, moral, sensible? Or do you hear the mad ramblings of people who are high on their own spit?